There was an old-timey song that said, "Why oh why did I ever leave Ohio?" Well, I'm Barbara Ann Rosenberg, your roving reporter, and I know I'd never been in Ohio for more than a couple of days, so I was anxious to see what there was. And we saw a lot when we were there, and as you go around with us and meet the governor of that wonderful state, I hope you'll be satisfied with the fact that you've seen a lot too and enjoyed. It's Sunday morning in Columbus, Ohio. Columbus, Ohio, you say, you know, what's there? Well, we're in a place called, part of the city called Short North, which is kind of like the Manayunk, or Greenwich Village, whatever you say, with art galleries and all manner of wonderful restaurants and bed and breakfasts and so forth. But here we are in front of this wonderful gallery, and it's quiet because it's Sunday morning, but we're going to see a little bit more of Columbus before we leave because it's a fascinating town, one you don't hear too much about, but one that deserves to be known about. Oh, Philadelphia has its striped bass, and Columbus has Havana, is the name of this bar, but it has its own large flying fish there. And this is evidently one of the new hot places in the town. You'll just have to come out and see for yourself. Columbus is full of surprises. And just for an idea of how this Short North area works, you see this picture of Mona Lisa on her ear. And that's kind of the symbol, the key to Short North. Everything is just not exactly the way you expect it to be. And it's great fun. We're at Harper's Landing in the river town of Marietta, Ohio. We're going to really get into, this is a historic town. It was the oldest town in the Northwest Territories. Can you believe Ohio being the first settlement in the Northwest Territory? And it's all very old and quite interesting. This is early 20th century in here, but there's a lot of stuff that's much older. Let's go take a look. This is the Harmer Station, H-A-R-M-A-R station in Marietta, Ohio, where the man who is sort of gesturing over there has built this enormous and startling collection of trains. For the past 71 years, he's had a collection. He got the first one when he was 4 years old, and it has turned into this. He moved from Latrobe, Pennsylvania, and moved his whole collection down here to Marietta, and it's going to be a prime tourist attraction here. Can you imagine all these trains in every size of every vintage going all the way back to that time? It certainly is something to see. This is a mural done by the kids from the elementary school of Fort Harmer. Fort Harmer was built here about 1787, which is when Marietta first was founded. And as you can see, they've done a really very interesting and charming job. And it isn't only the Mississippi that has these paddle wheelers. It is right here on the Ohio River. Ohio, is this the Muskegon, I think, right where they are the confluence of the Muskegon and the Ohio. And this Becky Thatcher is named for Tom Sawyer's girlfriend. Everybody remembers Tom Sawyer, I'm sure. But it's all part of the same river tradition. And this town of Marietta is steeped in it. Good times and old friends is what it says here about this food and spirits establishment. I'm going to go check it out. Don't you wish you were here with me? Well, that's the Valley Gym, a little paddle wheeler. We're going out for a little ride on that right now, hoping for the American Queen on this trip. Yes, and that's the Lafayette Hotel, which is one of the hotels on the historic register. We're going to stay there, but it's really kind of an interesting cornerstone, what do you call it, flatiron design. Well, we're on the Valley Gem going down the river. At least I think it's down. I don't think it's up. Moving with the current. And you can see it's very tranquil against the bridge and the beautiful town of Marietta on the banks. And then you can see in a minute what's driving us. This is an old-fashioned paddle wheeler. That's what's pushing us along. Just like in the olden days, except this one is diesel-powered. We're going to go on a steam-powered one, I hope, before this trip is over.
Oh, yes, you could. She takes 57 feet. We'll get in a little bit of the 65 feet now, 55 feet. We just barely make it down there.
We're in front of one of Marietta's famous places, Rossi Pasta, which is sold worldwide. And with me, we have Marietta's famous lady, who used to be the mayor here and is now the lieutenant governor.
Right.
Nancy Hollister. Tell us about this wonderful town in 4 words or less.
Marietta is absolutely fabulous. Riverboat city, a little bit of everything for everyone. We're standing in front of Rossi Pasta, world famous gourmet pasta. Rossi Pasta was founded here. We've just finished a trolley tour on 7.5 miles of brick streets. We've seen incredible homes and shops, Indian mounds, history, riverboats, you name it. It's in Marietta, it's in Ohio.
And it's worth coming to. Believe me, Philadelphia, this is a destination.
Oh, absolutely. Stay at the Grand Lafayette Hotel and enjoy the ambiance of our city.
Thank you so much. Going aboard the Becky Thatcher now, and we're going to see some kind of a melodramatic play, I guess. Let's go see what they've got. But isn't it a charming boat?
Raccoon's got such a pretty tail. Going to a dookie just to look around. If I don't find it there, I'm Marietta bound. Ain't it long gone, gone? Ain't it long gone? Ain't it long gone, gone down the river road? Yeah, I'm gonna find a steamboat riding round and round, eating salted crackers, 50 cents a pound. I'm gonna find a steamboat riding round and round, eating salted crackers. Better don't get it off, better get it off, so she can get away. In the stable where my horse ought to be. Said, you fool, you drunk old fool, very plain to see. That's what I thought of milk cow your granny gave to me. Well, I've traveled this world over 10,000 miles and more, but a saddle on a milk cow I ain't never seen before. There's a old old man, old Joe Clark would lie. Stuck his foot in the corner of my fence and cut down all my rye.
Tour afterwards, and get to see the house at that time as well, and we'll be glad to answer any questions for you. The assistant innkeeper is Sheila Nupp, who's here.
I'm standing here with the governor of Ohio, and we're having a perfectly beautiful lunch in a perfectly beautiful inn in this perfectly beautiful state.
Well, thank you very much. This is the Hocking Hills, and we're very, very proud of them. Haven't had the food yet, but if it's as pretty as the plates that are made in Ohio, that'll be very good.
And the food looks gorgeous.
Yes, it sure does.
So nice to be
Yeah,
here.
well, we're glad to have you here.
Thanks.
And this is one of our favorite spots. I went to college not too far from here at Ohio University. It was my first experience with southeastern Ohio, and it's one of the most beautiful areas that we have in our state.
Certainly, I've been bowled over by it. I didn't know what to expect.
But wait till you see. You're just getting started.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you ain't seen nothing yet, I think is what he means.
We're looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
What kind of soup are you serving there?
We have some Hungarian mushroom soup, and there's also a orange tomato basil soup.
Okay, and what kind of sandwiches do we have over here?
We have a bit of chicken salad with whole wheat, and we have a mixed lunch meat with cornmeal and cheese bread.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of bread is that over there? Okay, thank you very much.
At Glen Laurel Lodge, another area of this beautiful state of Ohio. And they're just feeding us a perfectly marvelous lunch. Go from one lovely place to another. This is a Scotch theme. The innkeeper, I don't see him around just now. The governor and his wife are over standing on the porch after our wonderful lunch, and it's just another enchanting stop.
Place without interrupting it. The only place we do that, of course, is when we have a huge beach log that comes across, and you have to cut it out of the trail. You get letters to the governor, you know, and he's not happy. So I try to maintain my trail system here, but we do leave everything live. The reason for that, number one, of course, is it all eventually rots down and really enriches the soil. But that up front it was kind of more open. As we go back into an area. If you look behind me, starting from the edge of the trail on back, you'll notice some very nice sized trees here. There's a large sweet birch, large hemlock, a large beech right here, American beeches. This is very typical of what Ohio might have looked like to the early settlers. Okay, when you have this large of a forest, you have very little sunlight penetrating down to the bottom, and you have very little undergrowth, and so it's been very open. Okay, they would have encountered trees 6 feet in diameter. I mean, that's just unheard of nowadays. But on this side, if you notice, especially if you look out, you'll see a lot of understory, a lot of small growth. We had a tornado-like wind. Hollow. A number of them are not run all year round. They're seasonal. You came out. This is a wonderful time to come out. The only time the waterfalls are any better is on the second day of a heavy rain.
Really wonderful because he says they hired you as professionals, go out and do what you need to do, and I go right.
They're all. In fact, I just went through a cliff rescue session back in early April. They run Parks runs that every year for us, and so we're all on the rescue to come down into the valley. Okay, because of that those cracks and fissures.
All made of style.
Yeah, we call this black hand sandstone because up in the number of people that we have in the Hocking Hills, we have about 1.3 million visitors a year. We have very few accidents, really, given that many people.
Here we are in Cincinnati, about to join that, about to board the American Queen. Look at her. She's gorgeous. She's big. She's the newest thing on the river. And this is the Ohio River, not the Mississippi. But let's go aboard and see what she's like. The American Queen, and I'm about to get on too. Come with us. Well, here we are in the Great Hall of the American Queen, and you can see that it takes the meaning of Victorian to a brand new level. This is Victorian in every detail. Although the ship was only built a few years ago, it is modeled after the great steamboats. Tiffany lamps abound, or Tiffany-like lamps in any event, but you can see every detail is Victorian in style, and very rich and very, I don't know, romantic. That's the way I feel about the American Queen. And this is the gentleman's lounge, card room, I think they called it. It's where gentlemen would repair after dinner to have their cigars. No more. You just have a cigar dinner and invite the ladies and smell up their clothing as well. In those days, they had a separate room for it. And right across the way, there's the ladies' parlor. Let's go take a look at that, too. And in the ladies' lounge, no such thing as wild boar heads or anything so fierce. Here we have dainty little birds in a big Victorian, you've got it, bird cage. And over here next to the real, honest-to-goodness Victrola, a wind-up kind. Oh, no, I guess it isn't a Victrola. It played these recordings 4 minutes at a time for these big spools. See what a long way we've come, baby? And they are stored in a foot bath, a genuine antique foot bath. There are antique artifacts interspersed with reproductions here, but you have totally the feeling that you're in Victorian time. Here we are in the Grand Saloon on the American Queen. Not salon, saloon is what they called it in those days, and that's the way we're referring to it now. This is where the entertainment took place, and we're going to have a lovely little reception here and enjoy it. I'm sure you will enjoy it in absentia with us, so have a good time with us on the Queen. We certainly are, the American Queen. Well, Mr. Twain, fancy meeting you here. I thought I'd find you on the Mississippi, and here we are on the Ohio. Have you do this very often?
Oh, I love the Ohio River. As a matter of fact, this is where it all began for me, right here.
Yes?
My
Right here in...
Yes, my piloting career began when I boarded a steamboat by the name of the Paul Jones. It was April of 1857.
Well, you look pretty well for your age.
Well, it's in the water. Well, something or another.
He likes bourbon, too.
Yes, I do. I drink a lot of bourbon.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that information with us, Mr. Twain.
Oh, I'm delighted. Glad to have you with
We love
us.
your work, and we were on the Becky Thatcher the other day.
You were?
Yeah.
Yes, Becky. Yeah, and Laura Hawkins, bless her heart. She's doing very well.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing you again sometime soon.
Well, my pleasure.
And now I'm with Mr. Keaton, the master of the American Queen, the master of this beautiful ship. Tell me about her. How long have you been with her?
I've been with her since 4 months before she went into operation. And we brought her from the shipyard May the 1st last year, and I've been here on a regular schedule ever since.
Where was she built?
In Amelia, Louisiana, just outside of Morgan City.
Well, I guess they know in Louisiana, as you say. But Mr. Keaton, the master, told me he's from Mississippi, right? Mississippi. And they know about riverboating there.
Oh, yes, the state is very much into riverboats. Yeah. They had the first gambling riverboats, in fact.
Well, I must tell you, this is the first time I've been aboard one, and I'm longing to come back.
Well, we would love to have you come back. It's a nice boat. It's a nice trip. And you'll enjoy it.
I want to see her move. By the way, the reason I'm saying I want to come back is because we're stuck at the dock. The river is so high, we can't move. We can't get under the bridges. Is that correct?
That's correct. Either the bridges are too low or the boat's too high.
Well,
Combination.
we'll give her another chance.
All right. We'll look for you back then.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Say there's many itchy foot come over the mountains out here. The traders is the worst of them, but them is just backwoodsmen.
So this is one of the things I learned in my role here as the salesman director.
Just coming into the Maisonette, which is Cincinnati's only five-star restaurant and has been for, I think, 27 years?
Now 32 consecutive years.
32 consecutive years. And your name is?
I'm Richard Brown. Good evening. Welcome to the Maisonette.
Thank you. You're the maître d', and you've been here a long time.
I've been here 11 years.
11
I've been
years.
maître d' for the last 4 years.
Tell me about the chef.
Our chef's name is Jean-Robert de Coval, who is French and has been with us about 2.5 years. He has received 2 of the 32 Mobile 5-Star Awards. He is originally from France, born in Lille in the north of France, worked at Bon Auberge in the south of France.
I know Bon Auberge.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Was 3 stars.
Yes, and we're very happy to receive him from New York at the Plaza Athénée Hotel and their premier dining room, which is known as La Régence.
I know Régence very well also. Can we take just a fast look at the people who are doing some of the cooking in here in the dining room? Some of the wait staff preparing, or the captains preparing, some of the beautiful filet of sole. You can see the level of service that the Maisonette has become famous for. And just in case anyone hasn't had enough to eat by the time he or she finishes dinner, look at these desserts. Just look at them. We all know desserts are good for you, so why not indulge? Well, we're in the Golden Lamb Tavern in Lebanon, Ohio. And the interesting thing, 10 United States presidents stayed here, the oldest inn in the state, and they have these interesting portraits. They don't know who they are. They were done by itinerant portrait painters, and the painters came along, and it was sort of like a do-it-yourself. Well, not quite exactly that, but all the bodies were painted already, and they just put the people's hands and faces on them. The faces, of course, so they could be recognized, and the hands, if women were wearing jewelry, so that that could be identified too. They have no idea who these were. Mark Twain was here, of course, and he was everywhere. And Henry Clay and assorted other 10 United States presidents. This building is full of Shaker furniture. It is located close to, by the way, this is Lebanon, 5 minutes from Cincinnati, and it's kind of centrally. So a lot of famous people stayed here, including Charles Dickens. And this is a picture of the. This is a picture of the building that was done, a painting that was done in 1965. And we'll go out and look at the real outside of the building. This is the Golden Lamb. Here you see it from the outside. Ohio's oldest hotel. And we'll tell you more about it later. The cameraman standing in the middle of the street liable to get killed. This is the Warren County Historical Society, where they have a huge collection of Shaker artifacts. And that loom is particularly interesting because that's where they did the weaving, of course. And there are other things like the spinning wheel, the small one, and the large one where they made flax, and the other where they, this is the textile room. And you notice the Shaker chairs are hung on the walls. Now, why were they hung on the walls? Well, it made it easier to clean, and it promoted industry, because if you couldn't sit down, you had to keep busy. Well, now, we've been to Ohio, and maybe now I can learn to sing the song, Why, Oh, Why Did I Ever Leave Ohio? And actually feel that way. I know I'm looking forward to my next visit. When I go back, maybe you'll come with me. I surely hope so. This is Barbara Ann Rosenberg, your roving reporter.